We're the Con Guys, and this is the Con Guy Show, coming to you straight from the nerdy heart of Hollywood, California.
And this is Jim with theconguy.com.
She's been here with theconguy.com.
Katie here, aka the Con Girl.
Zordon did not want 5 teenagers with attitude.
My name is Derek Sam.
I'm Danae Sams, and that's my brother.
We are your home for news, opinions, and interviews from the world of Comic-Cons and fandoms. Your ultimate insiders for all things con.
The end of it is my favorite. Welcome everybody to our live broadcast of the Con Guy Happy Hour. My name is Ben Cleaver. I am not the regular main host, Jim Fry. He's pulling the strings behind the scenes. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Tonight, we are focusing on something that is not necessarily John. Who's John? I don't even know. Jim's strong suit. And that is because happy Valentine's Day Eve. Tonight, we're going to be talking about love, particularly our love for one of the greatest science fiction franchises in the history of the human race, Doctor Who. We have some very special guests tonight. As I said, I'm Ben Cleaver, a regular host here on the Con Guy Show. I'm going to toss it to is that my left? That's my left. You're right. Yeah. My left. Katie, who is one of our regular hosts. Katie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
What up, everyone? I know it's been a little while, but it is the representation for the Con Girl this evening, as Danae is not here. Not that she's not a Doctor Who fan, just could not be here tonight. But yeah, fellow nerd, lover of cosplay, currently obsessed with BTS. So, that's me in a nutshell. Don't let the dress deceive you. It's not my favorite Doctor, but this dress was gifted to me. And of course, since it's a Doctor Who show, I have to wear it. So
thanks, Katie. Yes, as she mentioned tonight, the Samblings, Danae Sams and Derek are not able to join us. Both of them huge Doctor Who fans, so it's unfortunate, but they had other pressing matters to attend to. We have a couple of special guests on the show right now. We're going to have a couple more joining us later. Right now, we'll do ladies first. We'll do Katie Aiani up in this corner here. Katie, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I mean, if it's easier, you can just call me Katie Potter for this one, since there's 2 Katies. I am a massive Harry Potter fan, as well as a massive Doctor Who fan. I attend many conventions all over the country, and I'm really into cosplay as well. So this is, we have a lot in common.
All over the world, really. You've been
really all over the world. Yeah.
And right above me in this box up here is a good guy that I know, and I've seen him at all kinds of stuff. Bruce McLaughlin. I pronounced that correctly, right?
Yes, you did. Hi, everyone. As I'm Bruce. I'm a cosplayer, geek fandom since the 70s. Everything from Doctor Who, Star Trek originals, just all around. I love the whole fandom of the geekdom, and that's, what can I say? I enjoy it all.
Pretty rad, pretty well fits in among us. We've got Nathan Rita saying, "What's up, the Con Guy?" Lily Zuniga, hello, guys. And Jim signing in from behind the curtain. I get to watch this time, so that's fun. And I'm getting messages from some of our other guests on other things. It looks like Milo, unfortunately, is not going to be able to join us on the show tonight. So we will have another guest. Tom Craven from that hashtag show is going to be joining us about halfway through the show. So tonight, this being the Con Guy, of course, primarily we're concerned with conventions. And so we do have a convention coming up this coming weekend. It is Gallifrey One, and this year it is called Gallifrey One, 33 and a third, Long Live the Revolution. This is the 33rd annual North American Doctor Who celebration. It is the world's largest and longest running annual Doctor Who convention. It is a fully nonprofit convention founded by fans in 1989 in Los Angeles, right here in LA. The event has run annually since 1990, and all but the first 2 have occurred in February. And they only have missed 2021 due to the global pandemic. It has become one of the world's most popular fan-run themed events devoted to Doctor Who, both the classic and the new reboot series, as well as Doctor Who spin-offs, including Torchwood, Class, and the Sarah Jane Adventures, as well as all the audio adventures that have been going on for the last 30, 40, close to 40 years, I think. And while this is very much a celebrity-driven convention, like many modern conventions are now, they do stick to their roots on old-school fandom, including things like one admission cost for nearly everything at the event with no tier packages. Unfortunately, right now, being as it is about 5 days before the convention, the tickets are sold out, which they generally tend to do pretty early. But I know for next year, they will be going on sale within the, I think, 2 to 3 months after the convention. They'll go on sale for next year. So if you're interested in this, keep your eyes on the Gallifrey One convention webpage, and you will be able to know when the tickets go on sale and hopefully get one for yourself. They also feature a classic style art show, supervised children's program room, hallway fan tables available free to clubs and conventions. The local Southern California Renaissance Fair, the original Renaissance Fair, mind you, in the country, does have a booth there where they sell tickets at a huge discount, which is one reason I love going to Gallifrey One. They also have specialized costume events such as the Masquerade of Mandragora. They've got a dealer's room where you can pick up all kinds of great merch from independent creators, dealers of collectibles, et cetera, and they have special themed events that are unique to the convention, including a Thursday night launch party, an annual group in and out run, an ice cream social, karaoke, dances, extensive programming, which on Friday and Saturday nights go well into the wee hours of the morning, and as always, celebrity guests. That was a mouthful. Now, Katie Kawamoto, you have never been to Gallifrey One, correct?
I have not.
Okay, and Bruce,
the only Doctor Who related convention stuff I have been to was the 50th anniversary panel at Comic-Con, which amazing. But I haven't been to Gallifrey One. No, every year it comes by, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's a thing. But since I'm also behind in the show, I feel like it's probably not the best time for me to start going.
Not necessarily. Like, it celebrates all things Who, from my experience. So even if you are behind in the show, like, I run into people there that I'm like, did you watch this last season? They're like, oh, I haven't watched like last 2 seasons, but I'll catch up eventually. But they still have to be there because it is, it's celebrating all the things that we love about the show, past, present, and future.
Yeah, and I did go to the 50th simulcast. Like, I saw it in theaters.
Nice.
So that was fun because all the people were dressed up. There were sonic screwdrivers everywhere. So I've done some little mini things that
Now, Katie Potter, I'm going to skip you for now because I know you've been. Bruce, have you ever been to Gallifrey One?
Yeah, the last one I got to go to was 2016. Okay. And because I did it 2014, 2015, and 2016.
Okay, nice. I think 2016 was my first year that I went, and we went 16 through 20. Obviously 21 we skipped, and then we decided not to go last year just because stuff with the pandemic was still kind of up in the air, and so we were like, I don't know if I want to be around that many people. And but this year we were like, we got to go back this year, so we're excited. Now, Katie Potter, what are some of the things that you love about the Gallifrey One convention? What are things that keep you coming back year after year, apart from just simply being a Doctor Who fan?
This convention is extremely unique in the fact that it is a family reunion as well as a Doctor Who convention. The people that you meet here, you become friends with because you already have something in common when you meet, and you just really connect with people because you are at a hotel instead of a convention center. So most people who are attending stay at the hotel, and this convention never sleeps. This convention is going 24 hours a day in the lobby, downstairs, just all over the hotel, in hotel parties and in people's rooms. I mean, it's just everywhere. So it's kind of this, I think the only other thing that I could compare it to is like Dragon Con, where you're just 24 hours a day, constantly awake, celebrating something that you love or the characters or your friends that you make during this convention. And I think it really is, something that I would never miss.
Yeah, and one of the unique things about it that contributes to what you were mentioning there is it is a small con. You know, they cap it at what? It used to be like 2,000. I think it's up to 3,000
Yeah, I
now,
think
maybe.
so.
So when you're looking at that in comparison to something like, I don't know, San Diego Comic-Con or New York Comic-Con, which has 80 to 120,000 on any given day, give or take, you know, you're looking at a really intimate space by comparison as far as a convention goes. Bruce, what about your experience at Gallifrey One? What do you remember?
No sleep. Honestly, it was some of the best things that happened to me was meeting new friends and literally got dragged into an impromptu LARP, Doctor Who Torchwood LARP, where we ran around looking for the contraption that was going to turn everybody into Cybermen. And it was hilarious. It was just fans who put this together, just said, we're bored, let's do this. And I got dragged into it. And it lasted like almost the whole time, and it was so much fun.
That's the kind of
That's
thing.
really a fear of mine, though. If everybody turned into Cybermen, I'm pretty sure that would be terrifying.
Are you more afraid of the Cybermen or the Weeping Angels?
Oh, Weeping Angels, 100%.
Okay.
But,
All right, cool. Same.
but the Cybermen are way scarier than you think they would be. Like, when you're trying to explain it to someone else, it doesn't sound terrifying, but yet it is.
Now, Jim just threw a picture up on the screen. And for those of you who are just listening on audio, I'll explain it to you. So we've got a picture of 3 cosplayers. 2 of them are dressed as the 10th Doctor, and one of them is dressed as Rose, I think.
Yep, Rose.
Is that Rose? Yeah.
It looks like
And
it.
they're all standing at the ready in front of a life-size Dalek, and that is in front of a TARDIS. And that is one of the things that you will see at Gallifrey One. There are people with remote-controlled, full-size Daleks running around, screaming "exterminate" at people. Some of the crafting of both just contraptions like that, or the cosplays that you'll see very traditional cosplays of very screen-accurate characters, all the way to mashups and creative liberties and artistic interpretations of things and concepts and people and characters from Doctor Who. And it is an incredibly creative crowd. Here's another one of the Doctor facing off against a full-size radio-controlled Dalek, which is just about to exterminate him. And there is a K9 unit in the background.
Yeah, I saw that in the background.
My favorite part is when little kids run up to the Daleks and try and fight them, and they will go, all out trying to defeat these Daleks, and these whole shows will last a while inside and outside, and people just gather around to watch. It's just amazing because this whole convention is for families. I mean, you really do have all ages there.
Absolutely. And that's what makes it kind of fun too, because it does tend to be a very wholesome environment, for lack of a better term. Like it really is a family environment. You're not getting a lot of like, I don't know what I'm even trying to think of, but like there's a lot of like sexiness and violence and all this kind of stuff, really promoting a lot of the products that contain that at bigger conventions. But Doctor Who really remains, it's weird and there's violence, but it's very sci-fi violence, and it really is much more of a family environment. So
the show, I mean, isn't technically the show considered a family show?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think
it was originally based as a children's show.
Yeah,
right.
That's where its original concept was for. And the idea and even the stories and the values today, even in the show, even though it's much more, say, advanced than it started, are still at its core values of do no harm. Love will conquer all.
Absolutely.
For sure. And now it's going to Disney. So, I mean, it's a Disney franchise at this point.
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. It did drop just a little while ago. It was fairly recently that the new season, starting with Series 14, as the British call it, that they will be available on Disney Plus. I've been having to catch up. I've been catching up on the most recent season. And, it's all on HBO Max. The entire rebooted series from 2005 on is on HBO Max right now. But I am looking forward to seeing seeing it pop up on my Disney Plus next to Star Wars and, all that stuff, Marvel. And speaking of big tentpole things like Star Wars and Marvel, let's move to one of the really cool features of the Gallifrey One convention, particularly being such a small convention, the celebrity guests. Now, this is not a convention where typically, depending on how big they are, the celebrity guests are sequestered away from the unwashed masses. You can oftentimes run into some of your favorite actors from the show right on the con floor or in the lobby or having a drink at the bar. And this year, I don't know if these first two necessarily will be caught out amongst the masses, but very special guest, Jodie Whittaker is the tentpole guest this year. She is the 13th Doctor from series 11 through 13. That's 2017 through 2022. Katie, talk to me. How do you feel about Jodie Whittaker being at Gallifrey One this year? Sorry, Katie Potter, my bad.
Yeah.
There you go. I'm very excited. I actually have met her before. That was at San Diego Comic-Con when they did the Doctor Who panel. She was so sweet. It was a great experience, but I'm really looking forward to, maybe meeting her in the hallway on a more personal level. And maybe, I remember when John Barrowman was at the convention and he was running wild all over that hotel and had no problems, interacting with people in crazy ways, all day long, all night long in the bars. So you really never know who you're going to see and where you're going to catch them and what time. It could be any time of day or night. But Jodie is so really into the fan base. She really loves interacting with people at the few conventions she's done and seeing, just everyone's reactions to her Doctor. And so I'm really excited to meet her, to take a picture. I know personally, they have these photo ops that you can pay extra for. And every year that there is a guest that I'm really interested in, I will invest in those photo ops. And I have a whole wall in our Doctor Who themed bedroom with each photo op, with each actor, whether it's a companion or a Doctor, or even, the Master or the Missy or whoever it is. And we always do something really funny. So we'll always do something really crazy, but you can usually interact with them and say hi or, hug them or, do whatever. Well, last time was a little odd because of, COVID. But it's still very personal. Even with the COVID restrictions, everything is very personal because it's on a smaller scale compared to Comic-Con or, anything else.
Yeah, and on that note, they did announce, sent out to all ticket holders that they will be enforcing COVID-19 safety precautions this year. So whenever you're inside, you're wearing a mask, and I think they're requiring either proof of vaccination or negative COVID test within 2 days when you arrive at the con to pick up your badges. And so they are taking precautions. And again, it's because it is such an intimate convention. That it's very close quarters in this case. Anybody else have commentary on Jodie Whittaker being at the convention? No.
I was just going to say she's been everything from what I know for this is going to be a special moment for us, the fans, to have her in such an intimate area. Even, even though they've been at other cons, I feel probably Gallifrey One is the most respectful and intimate in that aspect for the cast of Doctor Who. And I think this is just going to be amazing.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And it is a convention where it's like you think, oh, you have this celebrity who's in close quarters with all these fans. People are just going to be pawing at them and trying. No, that's not. Like, people are very respectful at this convention. I've done the photo ops a couple times. We got a photo op for Jodie this weekend. So we're going to be doing that as well. But I've done photo ops in the past with Catherine Tate. I did it with Christopher Eccleston, who is my favorite Doctor, when he came a few years ago, which is a whole story in and of itself, how Christopher Eccleston ended up at the Gallifrey One convention. But I have this 12-inch tall Ninth Doctor Christopher Eccleston action figure that I got the year before. I got a photo op with Christopher Eccleston the next year. So I wore my Christopher Eccleston Ninth Doctor jacket. I had my tiny, who I call Tiny Christopher. And I waited in line. I got up. Christopher Eccleston's right there. Tremendous actor, by the way. If you've seen any of his other stuff besides Doctor Who, he's incredible in Doctor Who, but also incredible outside of it. And then I was like, I greeted him. I don't remember what I said. And he's like, hello. He said, what's this? And I said, this is Tiny Christopher. And he said, Tiny Christopher, with his northern accent. And he grabs it, looks into the camera with a confused look. And I just go, and they snap the picture. It's one of the most priceless things that I own. It's absolutely beautiful. Also, a few years ago, got the opportunity to get my photo with John Hurt, who played the War Doctor for the 50th anniversary special, who unfortunately has now passed away, rest his soul. And that was a time when Christopher Eccleston was supposed to play that role, and then they couldn't get him for, again, a whole story there. Yeah. So these are really fun, intimate experiences that you can have, even if they're just a few moments. It's still very genuine, and it's not just snap the photo, leave, snap the photo, leave, snap the photo, leave.
Yeah, no. I think this is so funny that you brought a Tiny Eccleston, because I don't know if you know what I did, but I brought a full life-size cardboard cutout of Eccleston's doctor for my photo with him. So it's the exact opposite, and brought it into the photo. And then in the photo, we only looked at the cardboard cutout like, oh my God, look who it is. And he's standing off to the side, just confused.
That's amazing.
I have that same cardboard cutout.
Yes.
So yeah, photo ops are great. And let me move on to, okay, I'm just keeping an eye on the time. Other special guests, Chris Chibnall, whose name is not Chinball, but Chibnall. And he's an executive producer, showrunner for all of Jodie Whittaker's seasons, series 11 through 13. He had previously co-produced the Doctor Who spinoff Torchwood with former Doctor Who showrunner and now future, or the new Doctor Who showrunner, Russell T. Davies. Excuse me, had a frog in my throat. Chris also created the British detective drama Broadchurch, which starred David Tennant and Olivia Colman. And that show also featured Jodie Whittaker. So he had worked with her prior to them both being on Doctor Who. And before that, he had also wrote multiple scripts for Doctor Who during the David Tennant and Matt Smith eras before taking over as the showrunner. Katie, you getting a photo with Chris Chibnall?
I don't think so. I might pass on that just to save a little money, but I would love to meet him and pick his brain if that comes up. I would love to hear about the process, behind this most recent season, especially. Everything's just so differently laid out and very unique. He just brought a very unique spin to everything. So I would be really interested to ask him questions.
Yeah. I'm gonna rattle off some more of the guests. And I think, wasn't Russell T. Davies there a few years ago and just like hanging out at the bar or something like that? Or who was that? That was
I think it was.
So it's like you might have that opportunity to ask the showrunner of Doctor Who, hey, where'd you get that idea?
Stephen Moffat. He was also there.
That's who it was.
Yeah.
It was Stephen Moffat. That's who it was. It's you get those opportunities. It's so weird. I'm going to list off some of the other special guests that are going to be there, and we can kind of talk about thoughts. Colin Baker, who was the Sixth Doctor. Hey, there's a picture from 1984 to 1986. He also returned for the 1993 special Dimensions in Time and later the Audio Adventures, which he continues to this day. We also have Bonnie Langford, who played Doctor Who companion Melanie Bush to the 6th and 7th Doctors, which were Colin Baker and Sylvester McCoy. And those were kind of the highlights. There's over 40 other special guests coming to this show, including Craig Ells, who played Carvanista in the most recent season. He is a Lupari alien who looks like a giant fuzzy dog. Also, Jamie Magnus Stone, who directed most of the episodes in the most recent season. Randomly, Chase Masterson from Star Trek Deep Space Nine is going to be there, which I'm not mad at. And then she also appeared in the Doctor Who audio adventures, so that's her connection. Gigi Edgley, who played, I'm not a Farscape fan, so I don't know how to pronounce this name. Kiana in Farscape. Anybody a Farscape fan?
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. And many more producers, directors, actors, writers, novelists, illustrators for comics and books, et cetera, including but not limited to the Doctor Who universe. And that is another thing about this. You'll get special signings and appearances by people from Star Trek, Starscape, or Farscape, various different sci-fi franchises. Yeah, anybody in that list, or did you get a chance to look at the website at all? Anybody that you might find interesting or intriguing on there? Or?
Not yet, but I will note that even though it's a Doctor Who convention, you see a wide variety of cosplays at this convention for other fandoms. This is, no one's going to judge you for, wearing your, Hunger Games or, like whatever you show up as, in your Star Wars Jedi outfit. So it's really fun to just be yourself in this environment of nerds.
Well, and I wanted to add to that is so much, as Doctor Who is technically the longest running sci-fi program, how much to other fandoms have been borrowed from Doctor Who. I mean, these creators of those shows probably as their kid, their sci-fi experience was Doctor Who and original Star Trek and stuff like that. So yes, enjoy that fandom because it's all coming from some of the same places.
Absolutely. And sorry, I was just looking at other messages from people. My fault. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It started at the same time as James Bond. What was it, 1962, I think? I always think of, it started the same year as Dr. No. And, that was before Star Trek. That was well before Star Wars. It was before Battlestar Galactica and all these things. And they all, in some ways, there were props from Doctor Who as part of the set for the cantina for Star Wars A New Hope. Like they shot in this, like on the same backlot as Doctor Who. So there were
costumes as well that were repurposed.
Exactly. So I think you're absolutely right. You hit it on the head there, Bruce. There is so much of our modern sci-fi that can trace its roots back to some inspiration from Doctor Who, which is what makes it so amazing. And why there's, it's such a great show and there's such a dedicated fan base, and that's why it has, spawned all this. So, Katie Potter, you are attending, I'm attending. What are you interested in this year? Are you interested in celebrity photo ops, signings, panels, special meetups? What are you interested in this year?
Everything. I think everything. I mean, normally, I will say, as a cosplayer, I would normally spend months up until Galley just coming up with some new crazy costume. And this year was just really rough. This year was just a lot. I actually ended up spending months on a different costume for a different fandom, which was great. It turned out wonderful. It was one of the most detailed costumes I've ever made. So I'm proud of it, but it also meant that I didn't really get to, focus on something new for this one. But I have in the past, and I'm very proud. I have entered the costume contest before. I've won the costume contest before with a Donna Noble. She's a companion. I actually built, I learned how to use electronics and moving parts in costumes. And I built a moving beetle that moved and glowed and made noise and sound on my back and carried that around. And it was just incredible. That was really fun to do, but I don't think I could ever top that. So this year, the only thing that I'm bringing that's new is Donna Noble's new outfit that we have no idea how she reappears, but she's coming back if you've seen the trailer. And I have matched that outfit. So I'm very excited to show that off. I'm very excited to meet new people, meet new fans, hand out ribbons. That's something we should probably mention. Yes.
We're going to get into that. We're going to get into that in a little bit. I promise.
Yes. Very excited to meet people through ribbons. So.
Yeah. And Bruce, I know you're not going this year, but
Not this year.
what are some things you'd be excited about if you were going, or looking forward to the next time you go?
Well, honestly, just the fandom themselves. All the past experiences I had and why I would go again is the cosplay and the companionship between the fandoms groups themselves. As I said, last time I got randomly pulled into this LARP that was just running through the whole thing. It was the people themselves. Yes, it's wonderful and it's great to get to see the actors, the showrunners, and it makes those special moments. But for the overall con itself, it is the people who attend that make it so special. And for next year, myself and my wife are making brand new Cybermen suits.
Nice.
Yes, I cannot wait to see that.
That is awesome. We've just received. Okay, so two things. I'm going to hit the pause button real quick on our continuing discussion. Two things. One thing popped up on my screen, which I assume Jim put there. Interested in helping out at Gallifrey One for a few hours. Gallifrey is once again asking for assistance both with the truck loading on Wednesday and setting up on Thursday. I assume that comes from the Gallifrey One website. And also, second point, we've just been joined by Tom. Tom, do you want me to use your last name or no?
I'm just the Tom C. Hi, everybody. Sorry I was a little stuck out there in the time vortex, a little wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. Thank you for having me.
And Tom, tell us a little bit about yourself. I had originally introduced you or said that you were from that hashtag show and you would be joining us later, but go ahead and tell us a little bit more of your bona fides and your projects.
So right now I am with that hashtag show. I'm their resident Ranger writer, but I also am a huge fan of many, many things in pop culture, Rangers being number one. Doctor Who for me was a big thing when I was growing up as a kid. Would watch it on PBS, on the weekends. And then when I found out that it came back with Eccleston, I was stoked. The downside was that I was the only person in my general group that had any semblance of it, and I've been watching it religiously ever since. But trust me, the rest of my nerd cred resume is, I can't move my camera, but trust me, it's there.
Now, Tom, you're joining us from the East Coast, right?
That's correct. It is almost midnight.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for staying up late to join us tonight. We're happy to have you here. Have you ever attended the Gallifrey One convention in Los Angeles before?
I wish I was able to get out there. I've heard about it many times. When I used to live out down in San Diego, things being as they were, I didn't have the opportunity to. But to have the chance to get out to Gallifrey, to be among my people, absolutely. I was fortunate enough to go out to another convention late last year, or just recently out in LA, and to finally go to a convention that's not just a specific general convention like New York or LA or any of the other ones, to have one that is just one thing, to be there among everybody that it has a genuine love and appreciation for a franchise, really brings a whole different aspect to it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, that was Power Morphicon, was it not?
You are correct, sir.
That's what I was going to ask.
No, not at all. No.
So
I was just rearranging all my figures tonight.
There you go. There you go. And I don't know, you can kind of wait. I've got the Dragon Zord, the original Megazord, and then I have the White Tiger Zord and I can't even remember what these were called, but it was like the fantasy characters, the dragon and the red dragon and the griffin and the unicorn and all that.
So those are the Thunder Zords of season 2.
The Thunder Zords, that's what it was called. I would have known that normally, but my brain's in Doctor Who right now, right?
That's okay.
But you've actually joined us at the perfect time, Tom, because we're just wrapping up our discussion about the Gallifrey One convention, and we were just going to move into a general Doctor Who nerd fest. So you've actually sprung in at just the right time. Just to wrap up
about the ribbons as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes. Oh yes, I have that right here. So if you are attending or have attended in the past, this kind of rolls into what I was talking about. What are your favorite parts of Gallifrey One? Now, Katie, Katie Potter, you're really keen on talking about the ribbons. I love the ribbons. I haven't made any for this year, but I'm kind of casually going to Gallifrey this year. Tell the people, because the fans want to know, the people are clamoring. Explain the ribbons to us.
So ribbon trading and ribbon meeting people through ribbons is kind of it's not a required thing. You don't have to bring these to the convention to attend. It's just something for fun that people started doing. And I don't know what convention necessarily started this trend, but it is a trend that has taken place in many, many conventions across the country, across the world, that people started doing. Every convention, you have a badge that you get with your name on it when you attend. And people started making custom ribbons. They're actually just, colorful ribbons with phrases or photos, images, funny things, or, maybe even just their hashtag or their, how to find them or how to be friends with them. But there's a variety of things you could put on there. Really, there's no limit. They're all about the same size, the same width as the badge, and they're, sticky at the top. So you just start connecting all of them in a line, and pretty soon you have a whole entire roll of ribbons because you're trading with people and you're meeting people through that. And it's just a really fun game that people bring with them to, have a laugh or, run around and try and collect every single one. And I know every year at Gallifrey specifically, whoever the guests are, they really get into it because all of the fans usually bring them their ribbons first. They want them to have, Jodie Whittaker is going to probably have 1 million ribbons by the end of it because everyone will just start handing her ribbons. And I know some of them, like John Barrowman, got really competitive one year where he was determined to have the most ribbons out of the entire convention. And it spanned the entire length of the main ballroom where, it was just, he wanted to have the most. And it is just for fun. I mean, you can take those home, you can put them up on your wall and, look fondly at them, or you can throw them away, whatever you want. But, people pay money for these just to have fun with it.
I've actually
you gotta have a roll somewhere.
I've heard of people actually creating vests and clothing out of the collection of ribbons they've had.
Yes, I've seen those. They're incredible.
I've done that with my clothing bags.
He's gonna find them. Mine are unfortunately at my house on the other side of the country, so I'm already in California, ready for Gallifrey.
Oh, you want me to go grab them for you? I'll ship them out.
Yeah, that'd be great. There's an entire box because I've been doing Galley since 2013, I think. So I've saved every single roll.
Okay, here's an example. So this is from the 31 Flavors of Gallifrey One. So I believe that was
2019.
2019. And so this is an example. Well, first of all, the convention badge right here, and then you can pick what's printed on your convention badge. Mine says bananas are good. And then these are the ribbons. So people will just go around. It's fairly inexpensive to order. Now, for those of you who are watching it right now, you can kind of see how it is. For those of you who are listening, it's not a long ribbon that you're attaching lengthwise end to end. These are widthwise. They're the width of the badge, and they have a little adhesive strip on the top, and you just continue to attach them on the bottom of the previous one. And as Katie Potter was saying, everybody brings these. They start to put like duct tape on the back of them to hold them together. And
this makes me so happy. That's my ribbon. That second one down is my ribbon.
This one here?
I made that one, yeah.
Nice. This is the it's the love one. Oh, love is love is love is love. Oh, yeah, that's right. I love that one.
So much love.
Happy Valentine's Day Eve. And so when we're talking about everybody brings a ribbon and everybody collects them and just starts sticking them on, and they're running the entire length of the ballroom or the lobby or whatever, you're talking about 1 inch at a time, basically, maybe 1.25 inches tops. And so it is wild. It is a fun tradition, and it is even better when the celebrities get into it and try to collect them all. Gotta catch them all, if you will.
And there's no requirement, especially if it's your first time. Just tell people that it's your first time, and people will give you a ribbon. They want you to get into it, so don't feel bad.
And you don't have to have them. Like, I didn't have ribbons, and then I was like, "This is fun. This is cool. Let me come up with something funny," And so I think I had, one year I had "Nice to meet you, Rose." What was it? What's the line? "Nice to meet you, Rose." Something about exploding. It's Nine's first line to Rose in the reboot pilot.
Okay.
Oh gosh, my brain is scrambled today. I did a lot of elliptical earlier. Okay, so
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life.
Nice to meet you, Rose. Run for your life. That's what it is.
Second screen.
Thank you. My sister did the ribbon thing at ALA. Yes, and as we said, thank you, Andy Haro, for chiming in. It is more than just the. It is. Art from that hashtag show just texted me dat flash trailer dough. But anyway, it is something that happens at many conventions. It's become this whole animal in and of itself at Gallifrey One.
Yeah. I think that they did some of it at, I can't remember if it was LA Comic-Con like 2 years ago. I remember there was one convention that I went to with Emily, and there were some booths that were passing out ribbons. And then there was some vendors that were, and I think that the vendors who were are probably the people who have vended at other conventions that do that. And I was really excited because they don't do that at WonderCon and Comic-Con. So I was like, I finally get ribbons. I don't know what they're for, but just like I have ribbons, and I felt like I finally understood what people got to participate in.
They are for having. That's all they're for. They're for having, and that's fun, and that's fine in and of itself. So, all right, we have about 25 minutes left in the show. Katie Potter or Bruce, anything that you want to mention about Gallifrey One convention in particular that you want to cover before we move on to just general Who nerdiness?
I think we did a pretty good job. I mean, it's truly one of the few cons that, even though how much it's bigger it's gotten over time, it's still a small con, and you get that closeness, and you really get to know your community. And that's what makes it so much fun.
It's true. I would say that if you are planning to go for next year, buy your tickets early. They will sell out. Buy it and be ready online for when the hotels go online as well. It really makes a difference staying at that hotel. You can stay at nearby hotels and walk to those too as well. But getting a room there at the hotel where the con is taking place is just beneficial in so many ways. But they also sell out pretty fast. So you really have to be on top of it and kind of plan ahead for this convention. It's not one that you can just last minute, which, you know, a lot of cosplayers do last minute things. I wouldn't know anything about that.
One caveat I will say, because traditionally we've stayed actually across the street at the Embassy Suites and walked over to the Marriott. We did stay at the Marriott one year, which was wonderful, save for the elevator situation. Oh my gosh. Because the elevators are so busy because people take the elevators down to the ballroom floor, up to the main lobby, the secondary level, which has some stuff going on, and then up to the rooms, and people are constantly coming up and down. Even with I think it's 6 or 8 elevator bays, it's still kind of a cluster. So that was the big thing for us when we were like, ooh, the elevators are taking so long. At one point, I almost said, I'm going to use the stairs. And then I remembered we were on the 13th floor or something. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'll just wait. But other than that, it is beautiful and wonderful to stay at that hotel in the center of all the action. All right.
Positive note, sometimes you get stuck in the elevators with the con guests.
There you go.
That's happened many times.
Yeah, actually, I didn't even think about that. That would be a great advantage, wouldn't it? All right. So we've wrapped up our discussion of the Gallifrey One convention. Katie, Christine, did we convince you to go next year?
Maybe. I don't want to say yes or no. It is easier now that I have weekends off at work for me to do these things. I haven't been used to that for ever. So I kind of forget sometimes that I don't have to ask for the day off anymore to go to these on Saturdays and Sundays. So one of these years, there and or Wasteland, it'll happen eventually. That's all I'm going to say.
There you go. And the Tom C, how about you? When are you showing up to Gallifrey One?
When my wife says I can.
Fair answer.
No, it's we've been very fortunate. Things have been able to change for me in the past year or so, so I have a little more flexibility to be able to go to different shows and conventions. And once I can, you'll see, I'll segue back to it. I got to get my wife back into the franchise a little bit to convince her.
It's all good. It's all good. Shouldn't be too tall of a task. It can suck you in pretty quick if you get started with it. My wife got me into Doctor Who. I had never watched. I'd always heard of it, never watched it. And then my wife and I went to Disneyland. This is when we were first dating. We went to Disneyland, and we were going on the Toy Story Midway Mania in California Adventure. And so we had a bet, and we said, okay, what are the terms of the bet? And she said, well, if I win, you have to watch the first season of Doctor Who, meaning the 2005 Christopher Eccleston reboot. And I said, well, what if I win? She said, well, what do you want me to watch? And I said, you have to watch all of Clerks, the cartoon series, which is only 6 episodes. And she beat me. She beat me on Toy Story Midway Mania. I think fairly soundly, which as a Midwest boy, I was a little bit embarrassed about. So I ended up starting with Chris Eccleston, starting with Rose, and I was hooked. And then the following year, 2016, we went to Gallifrey, and I've been going ever since, except for the year they didn't have it, and last year because we were still a little nervous about COVID. But so excited to get going back this year. Now let's talk Who, the TV show, the thing that's brought us all here to begin with. First of all, has everybody watched the trailer for the new season, Series 14?
Yes.
I don't know if I've watched the trailer for that.
Oh, but you do kind of know what drops in it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen stuff. I've seen stuff, so it's probably maybe I have. Yeah.
So the big ticket item right now, David Tennant's return as the Doctor.
Yes.
But this time he's the 14th Doctor, not returning as the 10th Doctor, as well as Catherine Tate coming back as Donna Noble. It looks like it's going to be a storyline of the Doctor and Donna, but he's a different Doctor, but the same. What are our thoughts on this, guys? Like, what's going on?
I'll go first.
Go for it.
Okay. So I'm just wondering if this was the whole idea that what Moffat did by coming back with the little seeds that were sown during the 50th anniversary special, because who knows? You'll revisit some old faces.
Yes.
I'm wondering if this is going to be his way to circumvent some particular choice writing and tie up a few things before we segue to the 15th.
And that was it the 4th Doctor?
Tom Baker, yep.
Tom Baker, yeah. Tom Baker, who told him you might see some familiar faces or some old faces, which was great. And of course, the 50th anniversary special, awesome.
Which could tie in Peter Capaldi's face as well, because we had seen him in a previous episode as an actor, as a different character, and then he comes back as the Doctor, and he's just like, why this face?
Well, and they did exactly. They wrote that into an episode, acknowledging that he had appeared in a different role earlier in the series.
Yeah,
which is just fun. And that's an example of the showrunners knowing their audience. They're like, they're gonna know you were in the show, and so why don't we call it out? Never mind, it's in his 3rd season, but still, any other thoughts on David Tennant's return and Catherine Tate?
I mean, obviously, I'm excited that they are coming back. There's no question about that. As far as once again doing someone coming back to a different Doctor or someone breaking up the quote unquote pattern, I think it's gonna be wait and see on how it's done. Is it going to be successful, or is it going to be too complex, or is it going to be, as long as it's well rounded out and everything is explained and it's not giving us more questions and answers, etc., then I think it's going to be fine. It's just in the past, sometimes these changes or choices they've made have not had a payout.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we all know Doctor Who has a tendency in the past to go a little bit into the too complex, let's back it off a little bit range. Yeah. But they have a tendency then to correct a little ways later. It doesn't always fix everything, but we accept it, we go along with it because we love it. Also from the 60th anniversary trailer, freaking Neil Patrick Harris as
So excited.
Apparently the villain.
I'm so excited.
Tennant. Like,
Oh,
if I was casting an all-American cast of Doctor Who, I might cast Neil Patrick Harris as Doctor Who, but fortunately we won't get that because they'd just ruin it. Well, maybe they would, maybe they wouldn't. I actually like the show
Well,
Ghost.
it depends on who does it.
Right.
We first need a ginger, then an American.
Yes, please
exactly.
give us a ginger.
Yes.
So excited about that. Yes, please. Is that Lemony? No.
It looks like Lemony Snicket though.
I think that's a
It
picture of
does.
him with Lemony Snicket. That's
No,
not him.
that's him
No.
from the Toy Man or Toy Maker, whatever the character
Yeah.
is playing.
That one,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I think he was older as Lemony Snicket. And then we've also had an announcement of who the 15th Doctor will be. He is an actor named Ncuti Gatwa. I looked up the pronunciation. That's how you pronounce it. Ncuti Gatwa. He is playing the 15th Doctor. Of course, we can acknowledge he is going to be the first Doctor of color. He is a black man going to be portraying the Doctor. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also believe he is a queer man. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Google.
I'm
someone.
not positive about that, but I know he played a queer character in a previous show. But I'm not positive. But also I don't know if he technically counts as the first Doctor of color because they introduced someone else previously. They surprised us and said that she came first.
Yeah. So we did have I think I real quick apologies. I think I misconstrued it because his Ncuti Gatwa was known previously for playing a famously queer character. For some reason, I conflated that with the Doctor character. But to Katie Potter's point, yes, we did have a pre-incarnation of the Doctor in the last two series. Who was say that again?
Joe Martin.
Joe Martin, who was a black
Doctor.
who was a pre-first Doctor version of the Doctor in a past life that we have now discovered the Doctor has had and does not know about because his/her memories were erased prior to that point. So also looking forward to them covering that going on in future seasons as well. But also Ncuti Gatwa playing the first Doctor of color as a continuing series lead, maybe I should say. Similar to Donna Noble being the first female Doctor, but only in a couple of episodes. Then Jodie being the first full-on episodic female Doctor. In a similar way, Ncuti Gatwa going to be playing the first Doctor of color. How do you feel about this? I'm excited about it. I think he's a great actor. If you've looked up his other stuff, like they always nail it with actors for these castings.
That's how I absolutely feel. Is that what a great choice? I mean, of course, there's always certain people in the back of my mind, but going, "Oh no, they're gotten too old at this point." But when they came out with that, I went, "Yes." And the same thing with Jodie. Jodie was just such a wonderful fit and such a breath of fresh air from Capaldi's Doctor. And you had and so everybody's take on, okay, here's somebody just compared to other actors that have done it before, it's out of left field. What is he going to bring? And that makes it so exciting because every actor brings their own thing and they have always nailed the right actors.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I think you look at this character, somebody asked Christopher Eccleston a number of years ago when he was still separating himself from the series. They said, "Oh, how do you feel about Doctor Who and David Tennant and Matt Smith and all these actors who played the Doctor after you? And you haven't come back, you haven't reconnected with the series." And he said, "Well, there is a lot of me in the series, and you see it in David Tennant, you see it in Matt Smith." And I think that's true. You see a through line of the character of the Doctor themselves that carries through all these actors who portray the role very differently and with very different characterizations, but there's still this core character of who the Doctor is as a person that flows through all these different actors that really makes it interesting and fun to watch.
For sure. And I've actually seen him in Education, his previous show, and he was a lot younger. So I'm really excited to see him as, this adult character, like moving forward with his acting career, because he sounds incredible. And he does an incredible job, growing up with that show as well. So I'm just really excited to see the change in character and just the variety that he can bring.
Very excited. Anybody else, any comments on Ncuti Gatwa before we move on to the next topic?
Go ahead, Tom.
Ladies first, please.
Okay.
Ladies
I was
first.
going to say, everybody always is like, I don't like this person. I don't know how to feel about this person. And like you guys kind of mentioned, everyone's always proven wrong. Like they always maybe don't like him at first, but then once they get into the seasons, that's when they start to like the Doctor. I mean, it's happened consistently in the history of the Doctor. I also like that Doctor Who knows what it is. It knows its fan base, and they don't have to rely on these massive A-list people to be the Doctor because they don't need it. And I think that's something special too, because in so many franchises at this point, they would have to be bringing in this big name for people to continue to watch. Doctor Who doesn't need to do that because of its history and because of its fans, and that's special.
I want to add something onto that. In fact, Eccleston was one of the first big names to play the Doctor. He already had a career in movies and TV prior to the Doctor, so it was fascinated watching him do it. But other ones didn't become famous until really Doctor Who came out.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we have, actors that are nowadays household names because of they've appeared on Doctor Who.
Yep.
Well, and just look at, this is kind of a fun comparison to make, but how many Doctors have appeared in the Marvel Universe now? Chris Eccleston was Malekith in Thor. David Tennant was the Purple Man in Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Matt Smith was in... he was in the vampire movie with Jared Leto.
Yeah.
The one that's not part of the MCU.
Morbius.
Yeah.
It's still Marvel, but it's not MCU.
Correct. And then on the other side, Peter Capaldi was in the Suicide Squad as Brainiac, I think.
Yes.
He was a different character.
It wasn't Brainiac. It was Brain Man, Mind Maker Man. I'm just improvising at this point. Anyway.
Well, Eccleston was also Destro for the G.I. Joe movies.
That's right. I forgot about that.
The Thinker. Capaldi was the Thinker.
The Thinker, that's his name. Brainiac is a different, but still DC character, right? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it was at least in the right universe on that one. So real quick. Did anybody have any? Oh, Tom, you had one more thought that you wanted to say on Ncuti, I think.
My big thing that I really want to see is with Ncuti taking over the role is that I think they used Jodie's season as a really good litmus test for trying different styles of writing and trying to see how they can fit things in, especially with having the first full-time female Doctor. Now that we do have a person of color in the role, I think if he stays on for more than 2 or 3 seasons, I really want to see, honestly, some stories having to deal with the fact that now that he's a black man, there are some historical things. I would like some smart writing in regards to that.
Yeah. And that would not be, I think you're absolutely right, because they had storylines that dealt with race and gender in the last few seasons, even with going back to Capaldi's season with Bill as his companion. And I don't think they ever covered anything with, I can't remember if they covered anything with race with Martha Jones.
No, not really.
I don't think so. Yeah. But they did. I know they touched on it with Bill, and they had the Rosa Parks episode with Jodie's Doctor and that sort of thing. So I think it is interesting to see them taking on more. What's the word I'm looking for? Just more like
Socially aware episodes?
Yes,
Yeah.
more social topics like this that are affecting us and that we're discussing in real life. You know, it's not Cybermen, it's not Daleks, it's not Centaurans, it's race, it's
People.
sexuality, it's gender, it's people. You know, and I think that's really interesting to see Doctor Who tackle. And I think they did have a unique opportunity to do that with Jodie being the first full-time female Doctor. And so, yeah, I agree with you, the Tom C, that I think that would be interesting to see them approach that with having a black man playing the Doctor. I think that would be fascinating.
As Tom was, and both of you were saying, that's what makes it so great, and what makes Doctor Who so great is that they're willing to go, hey, before everybody else, we're giving you the first superhero or sci-fi main lead to a woman. Now we're going to give it to a person of color. What can they do next? And us still go, we're accepting it. We love this, because they haven't done it wrong.
Thank you much, Bruce. That's a great way to cap that off. Moving on to less socially conscious things. New Doctor Who logo. There's a new logo. Have you seen it? It looks exactly like the old logo from the 70s, except different colors. Did they phone it in on this one, guys?
I mean, it looks like Paw Patrol, but that's just...
That's what it looks like. I could not figure it out, but that's totally it.
It looks like the mouse's Disney Plus colors bled over onto the Doctor Who logo.
Yeah.
Well, it is going to be on Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
It is.
I'm not a fan of it, honestly.
Synergy.
It kind of looks like
there it is.
Too like, I don't want to say
Needs more bling.
CGI, but like it looks too clean and crisp, and I don't know. It's weird. That's a weird thing to say. I know. I'm not a big fan of it.
It's fine.
I think is that they're trying to make it like almost weirdly a throwback, like they're throwing back to an older Doctor, older actor playing the Doctor, kind of giving it a retro look feel. That's the only one I can attribute it to.
It is literally the exact same logo, because this is the classic, like, what was this, the 70s, I think, logo?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but they just made it darker and blue.
It just looks, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I like the old logo better than this.
I don't mind.
I don't know if it's just their color choices or what. I don't know. There's just something about it I don't like. I don't know exactly what. It's just not my favorite.
I think they're trying to kind of hearken this nostalgia, I think. I don't think it's necessarily a message of like, we're taking you back or something like that. I think they were just like, oh, let's use a retro logo, like half the NBA is doing right now. But it's to choose that one's a little weird after we had the previous like 4 or 5 new logos that they came out with since 2005. Roundtable, we're going to go around the room. Who is your Doctor? Now let's start with Tom. Let's start with the Tom C. Who is your Doctor?
Matt Smith.
Matt Smith. Give us a quick rundown of why Matt Smith. If you're watching this right now, Matt Smith is on the right side of your screen there. The 11th Doctor.
So as much as people like David Tennant's the Doctor for my wife, and also, side note, we actually did our walk into our wedding reception to the BBC Wales Doctor Who theme song. So, I mean, it is a part of our relationship. That's why I said I got to get her back to things. Anyhow, Matt Smith, for me, Tennant did great, and he had a lot of a great emotion. But what Matt Smith brought to the table is I'm a vet, and I can see the things of the War Doctor weighing on Matt Smith, and I can see the joyful playfulness that he brings to it too. The way he was able to portray two sides of the same person, I see a lot of myself in. So that's why he's the Doctor for me.
Awesome. Bruce, how about you? Who's your Doctor?
Well, as much as I love some, Tennant and Smith, I have to give it up for my original Doctor that got me into the fandom. And that is Tom Baker.
Yes.
Just his quirkiness, his delivery, to just his own personal look was strange and unusual in his own way. And it just like, I have to watch more. And his delivery just made you believe.
Now, I think Tom Baker was fourth from the left on the previous
Yes.
picture. He's the fourth Doctor, right?
Yeah.
With shaggy
Big curly hair.
Yeah. With the scarf, the very long scarf.
The long scarf that has a wonderful story to it. Just as he wanted a scarf, this woman found out he was going to be laying Doctor Who, got so excited, and forgot to stop.
That's great.
And just kept going. And Delivery goes, I'm sorry. He goes, oh, that's great. Okay. Like, went for it.
Give me
He's
this.
pretty tall, right?
Yeah, I think it was over 6 foot. And that,
It's long. It's a long scarf.
Yeah, it is.
Even when it's tied around him, it's still long.
Still touching the floor.
Yeah.
And Katie Potter, who was your doctor?
So if I can choose Dr. Donna, I'm going to go with that. If I'm allowed, because I'm a huge fan of Catherine Tate and a huge fan of Donna Noble. I find myself in that character so often. So much so that when I first started watching this character, I hated her. Then it grew. She just grew on me so much, and I just fell in love. But also David Tennant. Like, he's so fun and just, I mean, he's angry as well, but he brings this range of emotions that I just absolutely connected to.
Well, and the story with David Tennant's so great because in a nutshell, he was a Doctor Who fan growing up. And then he's married to the daughter of another Doctor Who.
Yep.
Like, who also played his daughter in the show, which is weird. But there's not that big of an age gap. It was like a time thing. But anyway.
Right.
But yeah, and so and so it doesn't surprise me that he's coming back as the 14th Doctor because he does love it so much. He loves this franchise and you know, I think he would say that he owes a lot of who he is just growing up and who he's become as a performer to Doctor Who, and I know he just loves it so much. So he's a great doctor to have as your doctor. Katie Christine, who's your doctor?
Despite what I'm wearing, my favorite is Matt Smith. I started watching, so obviously I mentioned earlier that when people told me to check out the show, originally I tried to start with Eccleston and I just couldn't really get into it. So I did skip forward to go to Tennant. And then eventually I did go back and of course watch the first, the season with Eccleston. But even though technically I started with Tennant, I consider Matt my first doctor in the sense that it was the first time I had to watch the show live every week. The first time I had to deal with a regeneration when it happened and not after it had already been filmed. And so to me, I think that's also why I resonated with Matt Smith, because that episode just completely broke me. His regeneration just completely broke me. And I mean, that's saying something because Tennant's regeneration, of course, has a special place in everyone's heart. But also,
let's look at his dreamy eyes.
I just also really appreciated his. Everybody always said he was never angry, and I don't like that argument because I think he had a more downstated anger in the way he carried his character than what we were used to with Tennant. Because in the episode with the Daleks and Asylum of the Daleks, when he's like, "You won't kill your own species," like that's your line, and he's so mad because they've killed how many other species off. And that's when I'm like, how can you tell me that he was not angry? He was. It's just a little bit more quietly, more reserved than what we were used to. And I just love Matt Smith's character a lot. And I did get to meet him, but it was for Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, not for Doctor Who. But I was like, wait, he's in that. I'm a Doctor Who fan. I'm gonna go meet Matt Smith. And I did get to meet him, and it was wonderful.
I love that. He has some of the best speeches.
Yes.
Matt Smith.
His
really,
monologue.
out of all of it. I mean, really.
Oh, yeah. Let's be honest, some of the best one-liners come from Matt Smith. Geronimo, fezzes are cool and bow ties are cool. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Think about when the first time he finally appeared dressed up. He pretty much said to the Atraxi, F around and find out.
You're not wrong.
I feel like Matt Smith did bring in a lot of new a lot of new fans into the fan base too, because he did have those catchy things that people could, watch one episode, and he had a charisma that drew people in too. So I think that was special and helped them grow the fan base as well.
Well, I think another advantage for him then was when all of a sudden the show started becoming big, and all of a sudden the production value went way up. The special effects got better. The presentation in general was better. And I don't want to say like the writing and the acting was better, because it had been really good up until that point. Yeah. But just the visual production value of the show skyrocketed Matt Smith's first season, because that's when they started getting real big BBC money. And just to wrap this up, I had a few more questions to ask, but we have filled our hour and then some, and we don't want to keep everybody up too late, especially the Tom C, who's joining us from the East Coast.
I'm good. Let's keep going.
Well, then
I'm off tomorrow.
And in our Facebook comments, Jim Fry has asked me, Ben, who's your doctor? Which I was about to cap off the conversation by telling you, and it is Christopher Eccleston, the Ninth Doctor. I had no previous experience with Doctor Who, and my wife said, watch the pilot of the reboot, the 2005 Rose, and she said, and it gets better. And the pilot is a little clunky. It's a little early 2000s British television, and even though you've got such weird stuff like the mannequins, and then like the Slitheen with the big clunky latex rubber suits, and they have to fart all the time, and all that weird stuff that comes in those episodes. You see this guy, as Tom was saying, I think it was either Tom or Bruce was saying, you see this guy who's already had a pretty celebrated career as a British actor in film and television come in to play this iconic role. And he just came in. He's a dramatic actor. This is considered at the time a show for children. And he comes in and just takes it by the reins. And I do see, I am not a vet, by the way, Tom, thank you for your service. But I do see some of that war doctor, that dealing with PTSD, that anger, but that gentleness in Christopher Eccleston's performance. And that's because of the type of actor Christopher Eccleston is. He has incredible depth and incredible emotional range, because he's also very silly in the show, which is such a fun part that has continued on through every actor who's played Doctor Who, both in the classic series and the reboot. And that's part of what makes it fun, because you are dealing with subjects that may be silly, but you're also dealing with real humans in this dangerous situation, even if it may be silly. And the passion of this character of the Doctor needing to save them. And I just love Chris Eccleston, but David Tennant, adore him. Matt Smith, adore him. Really, his first season, Capaldi, was like, but by his third season, I was like, oh my gosh, Capaldi, love him as the Doctor. Jodie, I was like, let's jump on a new adventure with and there's Capaldi on your screen right now. Jodie, let's jump on a new adventure with switching the Doctor to a woman full time. Ended up loving her, absolutely loving her. And I'm so excited, of course, to see Tennant come back, and then to see Ncuti come in and play the Doctor, because again, tremendous actor, as we've already covered. I'm going to go ahead.
Pretty jarred when Capaldi first started. We were all pretty jarred the same way about why did they choose this, this incarnation of the Doctor when he's so angry and old. But it was a reminder of who the Doctor was, and it was just so important for us all to remember that he's not a young, spry like human. He is a very old, ancient alien. So you have to kind of remember that, and that's important too.
And became even older over the course of his final season, particularly having to repeat the same day over and over again for literally hundreds of years, I think. I can't remember. Anyway, Bruce, what were you going to say?
Oh, no, it's just, much the same with you when Capaldi came on. Kind of like, what is this? By the third season of him, I'm sitting there going, don't leave yet. No, what more?
Exactly.
But going back to Eccleston, one of my favorite things, and it just always strikes me to this day, he could be talking to whatever enemy and just this anger and this hatred in his face, and you could see it. Then suddenly turn to Rose or turn to whoever next to him and go, and has this smile on his face and just this weird, joyful banter. And I'm like, that switch in him made that Doctor so special. Of this is, like you said, he is dealing with some serious PTSD, and he wants to express it, but he doesn't want to express it on those who don't deserve it.
Don't you wish we still got emo Matt Smith? I know that picture's still floating around on the internet somewhere. Just saying.
Just saying. All right. On that note, I'm going to wrap up this podcast just because we are pushing an hour and 15 minutes and nobody wants to listen to a podcast that's longer than that. So thank you all out there in internet land, whether you are watching us live right now, watching us on a replay, listening to us on wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you so much for listening to this show. Hopefully, if you didn't know Doctor Who before this and you just decided to tune in to figure out what it was, hopefully we've whetted your appetite. I don't know. And if you already love Doctor Who, hopefully we've gotten you excited for the new season coming out this November 2023. I would like to do a special thank you to our host network, That Hashtag Show, and their sponsor, Neft Vodka, reminding you to please drink responsibly. And a special thank you to my guests. I'm going to go ladies first. Katie Potter, thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media if they want to follow your shenanigans?
Absolutely. Please do. I am at Katie Potter on Twitter and at The Harry Potter Fan on Instagram. TikTok, I'm the HP Fan.
All right. Awesome. Bruce, how about you? If people want to follow your cosplay shenanigans and see you paint your entire body blue to be Beast from X-Men, where can they find you?
ABC Cosplay on Facebook right now. I don't know if it's my age or I'm too busy dealing with being in the moment to be social media, so that's the only one I have. But thank you for having me on. The only thing I want to say at this point is Geronimo.
So many great catchphrases, but thank you, Bruce. Thank you for being on the show. And the Tom C from our host network, That Hashtag Show. Thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate you being on. Where can people find you?
So you can find me pretty much everywhere on social media at Off the Cuff Gaming. And of course, you can always follow along with me on thathashtagshow.com for all your Resident Ranger writing news.
Resident Ranger writing news. That way, and you nailed it the first time.
I've been saying this for 5 years doing it. I got it.
All right. And my co-host for tonight, Katie, Christine, the Con Girl, thank you so much. Where can people find you if they want to follow your shenanigans?
You can follow me across all social media at Katie_Christine, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I'm sorry if you follow me on Twitter and you're not a BTS fan right now. Just start apologizing in advance. Also on Twitch as well. I didn't stream for 9 months, but I finally returned to Twitch the other night. So if you guys like watching me get very angry and be very bad at video games, I play a lot of action adventure games. So like The Witcher 3, Spider-Man, all those kind of games. You can follow me there. Hopefully I'm going to try really hard to be better about it this year.
Wait, people tune in to watch people be bad at video games? Because I could do that.
Oh, yeah. It's a big thing.
Sweet. Thank you so much to Jim Fry, the original con guy, who was our producer tonight, throwing those images up on the screen for you. Thank you, Jim, for all your work tonight. And every time we do one of these shows, he puts a ton of work into them, as well as the website. Check out more of our stuff on theconguy.com. Also, our sister website, thescareguy.com, which is and Katie,
and the Con Girl, which I forgot to mention.
Oh yes, Katie also. Katie Christine is one of the hosts of the Con Girl podcast. So we've got like 27 podcasts. Just kidding. We've got the Con Guy. We've got the Scare Guy, which covers the fun side of scary. We also have the Con Kids, which is some younger generation's views on pop culture and conventions, and we have the Con Girl podcast. or the con girls or girl?
I think we say the con girl, but it's technically con girls, basically topics that women like and from a female perspective. So we do a lot of like true crime stuff, things like that.
Awesome. And again, thank you all for tuning in to the Con Guy Happy Hour podcast. My name is Ben Cleaver. If you want to follow my shenanigans, you can find me at BenKliewer. It's the same on all social media. Nobody took that name already for some reason, maybe because it's ridiculous. Also, if you're looking for me, you can find me by searching the hashtag BK421. Thank you again to all you Doctor Who fans out there for tuning in tonight. And if you're not a Doctor Who fan, hopefully you will be soon. And remember, everyone, I'm Ben Cleaver, and the reason I'm drinking out of this red cup is because whenever Ben Cleaver shows up, it's always a party. Good night, everybody.
Thanks for listening to The Con Guy Show, the official program of theconguy.com. Find us on the Weeby Geeks Collective or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And now on sci-fi.radio, Saturdays at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, both AM and PM. That's 9 o'clock Greenwich. It's sci-fi for your Wi-Fi.